Peace and greetings. This is Artis. Unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders. So we're looking at the 16 keys, right? The 16 keys to progress your life. Let's look at them. All right. So we got peace, truth, giving, moderation, release, cleanliness, contentment, discipline, self-study, surrender, movement, breath work, focus, concentration, meditation, and equanimity. That's a big list, right? 16 words. So what we want to do is we want to put these words on a 16-day calendar and then look at them in a rotation situation, right? Like every day you pick a word, you focus on that word, and then the next day, so on and so forth, and you just keep repeating that. You have yourself a word for the day, right? So, peace. The first thing we want to address is keeping your peace. That's the first thing that you want to, because when you're peaceful, then it just exudes out of you, and then your surroundings will match your feelings. If you work on your own peace, the outside will reflect it. What are some of the ways that you can work on your peace? So how are you keeping your peace? That's the first thing you want to look at. How are you keeping your peace? So, because if you're not in a peaceful state right now, then there's a lot of different factors that come into play here. The first thing you want to do is work on yourself. Start with a meditation practice. And I'm not talking about anything super elaborate. I'm not talking about chanting. I'm not talking about doing yoga for an hour and a half in the morning. I'm talking about a meditation practice. Get up early in the morning, sit down for 5 to 10 minutes, and then go. That's the first thing that you can do, okay? Because you want to start something. You want to start a consistent practice, a consistent work on yourself that does not stop, ever. You want to start working on yourself, okay? And that's the first step, is to give yourself time in the morning to just think for 5 to 10 minutes. Even if you can't, and I'm not talking about elaborate mantras and all that. No, sit down for at least 5 to 10 minutes in the morning before you do anything and just meditate. Close your eyes and repeat a word or a phrase or something, or just follow your breath as it, just, and set a little timer. First start with 5, try to work your way up, That's the first thing you want to do, okay? That's going to help to clear some of the fog that's going on in your head. That's going to help clear the fog. The second thing you want to look at is your phone, right? You want to look at what's on it. You want to look at your apps. You want to look at your social media time. How much are you on social media? And more importantly, what are you looking at when you're on social media? Okay? It seems like that's simple, but it's profound, because we don't address it for the most part. Most of us won't address it. We won't address that we like to look at these negative things sometimes, and then they keep popping up on our algorithm, and then it becomes part of what we watch on a day-to-day basis, which is preventing our peace, which is keeping us from being peaceful, right? Because it's chaotic. So your phone, pay attention to what you're looking at on social media. If you want a recommendation from me, go to YouTube and look at long form videos, right? Find an interesting podcast that has something directly related to what you're interested in or what you're trying to accomplish or achieve or whatever, and just do a deep dive on YouTube, right? Instead of just, you know what I mean, doom scrolling. So that's number two. Like, okay, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? What's on my phone? And then your immediate, and then that's gonna, and then so now you start looking at your immediate surroundings. Okay. Where or who are the people around you, right? And also, I'm going to shoot in here real quick. Your sleeping patterns is also another thing you want to look at. Try your best to wake up and go to sleep at the same time every day, if you can. I'm not saying get 8 hours, 60, whatever. I'm just saying try to have a consistent sleeping pattern, right? Try to make sure you go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. When I was in the restaurant industry, it was really hard for me to do that because those of you who are, and I still do work at a restaurant, but the restaurant I work at it's kind of like a 9 to 5 kind of thing. But when I worked late nights as a bartender and a server and a cook, I would have to go to sleep at different times because the schedules would change. And so it was hard for me to have a consistent time. So you just have to work with it if that's your current situation. But if at all possible, try to make sure that you go to bed and wake up at the same time. So every single day. So the people around you, right? That's that's the next thing you're looking at. You're like, okay, wait a minute. First, you're meditating, right? Okay, let me get some clarity in my mind. Your phone, you're like, okay, let me back up from this phone a little bit as far as the negative stuff, and now look around. Like, who are these people around me? Who are my close associates? Who are my friends? Who do I live with? My partner. You know what I mean? Look at your relationship. If you're in a relationship, do we communicate peacefully? Is this a peaceful house? Right? And you'll be surprised that if you start a consistent meditation practice and you pull away from that cell phone and you sit back, you're going to become more peaceful, which may be a part of the problem. If you don't live in a peaceful household, you may be part of the problem. 9 times out of 10, you are, because you live there, right? If you're not part of if in that scenario, there really is no neutrality. If you're not helping, you're part of the problem in that situation. So, but if not, it'll pop up to you like, okay, wait a minute, this particular person, wow, they are coming off with some really negative energy, right? You'll be able to notice it. And so you have to make decisions and choices and get those people out of your life. You have to get those people out of your life. Simple as that. If it means whatever that means for you, right? Maybe you, in another thing about when you are working on this is that the more peaceful you become, the more you work on yourself. In a lot of instances, it affects everyone around you. It affects everyone around you. You'll notice. You'll start to notice that when people come around you, their energy changes. You know what I mean? There's you know what I mean? There's Kathy. Kathy is if they come in, they come in the room with Kathy in the room. If they turn the corner, they see Kathy. Oh, their energy automatically goes okay, because they identify with Kathy being extremely peaceful. And when Kathy is in the room, her meditative state, her peacefulness just exudes off of her. So the whole energy in the room is like, right? And so when you walk into that, you automatically like, whoa, wow, it's super chill in here, right? So it's one of those things. The more peaceful you become, the more it exudes out of you to everyone else. So that's something that you definitely want to think about. Take that into consideration. Take those steps. Make yourself peaceful, and then you will notice that your surroundings become more peaceful. But if there's someone in your life that is extremely obtuse, is boom, 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 it's like it's not working. You have to make changes. You have to do what you have to do to keep your peace, right? So the next key is so the next key is truth. Okay, truth. Truth. First of all, let's look at what is your personal truth. Okay, what's your personal truth? Are you living your personal truth? Are you doing what you're assigned to do on this planet? Right? Now, there's a lot of different ideas on this particular topic as far as why are we here? Okay, that's a big question. Why are we here? I have the answer. I know why we're here. It's very simple. It's very simple. We're here to serve. We're here to serve each other. We're here to take care. We're here to take care of one another. We are here to provide service. You just have to figure out what that means for you. You just have to figure out what your service is. How am I going to serve? Right? Some people, they're ministers. They serve that way. Some people are yoga teachers. They serve that way. That's their service. Some people are cooks. They serve that way. Some people are carpenters, whatever it is that you do, and it's coming from your heart. It's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. You ever hear someone say that, or you may say that yourself sometimes? Like, oh, I can feel it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. That is a key that you have to look at, that is connecting you, right, to your purpose on this planet. Why you are here, right? Everybody's here to serve. What is your service? That's what you want to think about when we're talking about finding your truth. Why are you here? What is your true passion? What really moves you, and how can you turn that into service? And you may be already doing it. There's a concept that you are in service of, let's just say, a higher being or God, right? And so you're serving God, and you serve God through service to others. So living your truth, that's the first thing you want to look at. Are you headed towards what your truth is? Now, when you start on this path, what you're going to do is you're going to become more truthful in your speech. It's going to naturally happen. When you're putting these steps together, when you're doing that, again, I'll reiterate that morning meditation, no matter how long or short it is, making sure every single morning you get up, same time, do that 5-10 minutes. When you start that, it's going to open things up for you. It's going to help you to realize that you don't have to lie. There's no reason to lie. Okay? And you'll understand that it takes more work to lie than it does to just tell the truth. It takes more work because you have to keep adding on. You have to keep creating the story. You have to keep creating the story. You might as well write a book instead of lying all the time. Just write a book. So doing the work is going to help you to realize, hey, you know what? There's no sense. I don't need to lie. Because you're living in your truth. You're not walking around with a bruised ego because of some unrealistic idea you have of what you're supposed to be, whatever that is, right? So you have no reason to lie. You're okay, right? So it bleeds into it. It all goes together, the truth. So talking about the truth, I think there was something else I wanted to talk about in the truth aspect. Truth. So the next is giving. Now, giving is when I first think about giving, it makes me think about when I was younger and I was in the church, in the Christian church. My father is a Christian minister. And so I grew up going to church every Sunday. At one point we were doing church and then Bible study and then choir practice. So it's like in church 4 days a week, right? Sunday, Bible study, choir rehearsal, and youth group, right? So 4 days. And it was, I loved it. It was awesome. You know what I mean? Community. It was awesome. I loved it. So in that, you have what I learned about was tithing. Okay, tithing. So it's commonly misunderstood when they talk about that 10%. It's not just 10% of your money. It's not just 10% of your money. It's 10% of you. It's 10% of everything that you have to offer. Okay? Giving that up to the Great Mother or whatever it is that you see as God or whatever it is. Giving 10% of everything, everything. 10% of everything that you have. Your time, your money, your energy, everything. 10% of everything. And it's not. Now, this is where the debate comes. Well, I'm not giving all of that to this church person or these church people. No, I'm not doing that. Okay, then don't give it. I'm not saying that you have to be a Christian and do all of those things that Christians do and give all of your time, money, and energy to a church. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying whatever it is that you consider to be God, the Great Mother, whatever that is for you, you give 10% of your money, 10% of your time, 10% of your energy off the cuff. before you spend it. That's you before you spend that time, energy, you give it to whatever you consider to be your higher self, right? And you give it in any way, shape, form, or fashion you want to do it. It can be in the form of many different things that are combined together. For instance, when you get paid, 10% of it goes to whatever charity that you are involved in. 10% of it goes to a community organization. 10% of it goes to church, wherever, whatever. Off the cuff, 10%. And then, right, your time. 10% of your time is given. You give it for the benefit of someone else. 10% of your energy, you give it. You give it for the benefit of someone else. 10% of everything you have. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a rule or regulation of how and when to do it and where to do it. I'm saying do it however you feel, however you see fit. So giving, that's the way you tap into that energy. For me, when I was in the church, I can remember giving 10% of my money, and I was like, and it had a direct effect in my life. So, and it's something that I still practice. I don't give my money to a specific church, but my money goes to something that I feel is beneficial, right? That I want to do, that I want to give, that what feels right for me, right? So giving, that's what you want to look at. 10% of everything that you are, that you have, that you know, that's what you want to do. So moderation. Moderation is talking about, so there's a concept that you want to be 50% in and 50% out. When we're talking about spiritualism, we're talking about being focused 100% on whatever it is that goal is that you're doing. You want to be half in and half out. Okay. And what I mean by that is, so you don't want to be 100% into any one thing, because you lose sight of the bigger picture. Okay? We'll say, for instance, that you are a person who is driven to make $1 million. You're like, all right, I'm gonna be a millionaire. That's my thing. I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna make these $1 million. I'm gonna be rich. Okay? I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying what you have to have a balance. You have to be half in, half out. So yeah, you want to be, but that can't be 100% of your focus. You need to have a spiritual side. You need to have a reflection side. You need to have a dichotomy, that an opposite to that, to 100% driven to make millions of dollars, to sitting quietly doing some type of spiritual work, reading some ancient text, reading your religious book, whatever that is, right? You want to have that balance. You want to be half in, half out. Moderation. That's where it begins, in that. And then it's with all the little small things. For me, personally, it's sugar, right? I know that's, a lot of folks deal with the sugar thing. I have to do it in moderation. I have to eat sugar in moderation, because if I don't, I'll get carried away and eat too much sugar, right? Because it's good. I like sugar, right? Doing whatever it is that you do, but doing it in moderation, you'll be able to really enjoy it. When you don't, say for instance, eat sugar, you say for instance, you don't eat sugar for a long period of time because you're taking a break on the sugar. Like, I'm taking a break on the sugar, and then you don't eat it for a while, and then when you eat it again, you notice how it seems so much sweeter. You notice how you don't need as much as you did before in your coffee or tea, right? When you're off of it for a while. So you're able to really enjoy it. But if you're constantly consuming it, you don't really get the joy out of it. It becomes a habitual thing that your body is used to. So it's not a surprise. It's not like, oh, wow, sugar, right? So moderation. Half in, half out, right? So the next one is release. It's release. Releasing emotions, right? One of the ways we can release bad emotions, things that have happened to us that we had no control over, right? That it happened to us. I was a child maybe, and I didn't have control. I wasn't able to stop the things from happening. We may need a release. So there can be a forgiveness, not a forget, not a erase, but a forgiveness. And then that turns into the next step of, now let me break it all down and just be okay with what happened, right? Releasing, letting go of the anger, letting go of the emotion that is holding you down, that is attached to the thing. Release, letting go. That's that. Not everybody has that specific issue, but on a whole, everyone can relate to that kind of thing. Everyone can relate to, and maybe it's something that maybe you were really mean to somebody. Maybe you started a fight when you shouldn't have started a fight. You lost your temper. You can't say you're sorry to the person that it happened to, that you were mean to, that you started a fight with, that you said nasty things to. Now you can't apologize to them. Release. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, because you're not that person anymore. That's not you anymore. Okay? That person does not exist anymore. That's not you. You are a different person now. So forgive yourself, right? Forgive yourself. Release. Let it go. So release in the physical. Letting material things go. Because when we hold on to material things, we become attached to those things. They become who we are, right? Letting go of material objects. I just recently let go of a car or a truck that I had for maybe 10 plus years. Loved that truck. That truck brought me across the country with my wife and all of our belongings, right? Love that, a lot of good memories in the truck, right? Love the truck. But it was time to let go of the truck. It was time to sell the truck. It was time to let go of the truck, right? So I had to let go. I had to release the truck. And I like the person that got it, And so the energy behind it was really good. So it was a good thing. It was a good thing. A lot of times we don't want to let something go, but what we don't realize is that in order to get something new, you have to let something go. You have to release something. In order to get something new, you have to let go of the old. As much as we want to hold on to it, right? You have to let it go to get something new. So release. The next is cleanliness. So cleanliness is, this is a really good one. I like talking about this because I like to talk about the mind a lot, and most especially when it comes to this particular topic, cleanliness, because we want to clean the mind. You want to clean the mind. Now, when you clean something, watch this. When you clean something, you don't just throw everything away. If in your room you have things in your room, you put things in their proper place when you clean something. You don't just throw everything away. You clean up the dust, you clean up the dirt, but you don't just throw everything away. You organize things, you put things in their proper place. That's what you do when you clean something. And if you notice, when you're cleaning something, it starts to look even more chaotic during the cleaning process. As you're cleaning, you're like, whoa, everything is everywhere then. But you organize everything, put everything in its proper place, and there you go, right? The same thing applies to our mind. Our thoughts need to be directed. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions need to be put in their proper place, right? If you're feeling, okay, there's only two emotions. You only have two emotions, right? And everything comes from these two emotions. Everything comes from these two emotions, right? Fear or love. When you really think about it, everything comes from those two things, because those are those are the two ways that we can react to everything that happens to us, and it will directly affect. It would take things this way, or it'll take things that way. If my wife comes to me and says something to me that on the surface I don't like, I approach it how? Fear or love. Okay? Fear can be ego. Why is she what? That's fear. That's fear. I'm protecting the ego. I'm scared that she is, you know what I mean, trying to take me down some kind of way. My ego react. Or love. Wait a minute. I love her. Right? So let me think about what she's saying first. Let me analyze it. Wait a minute. Hold on. And then I can respond to what she said, as opposed to reacting because the ego will cause you to react. Oh, what do you mean? So, right? Where are you coming from? Are you coming from a place of fear or a place of love? And when you make that distinction, you can put your emotions, feelings, and thoughts in the right place in your mind. You can stop the chaos because you will understand where everything goes, right? You're either coming from a place of fear or a place of love. So, and then let's just talk, and what about random thoughts that are just in your mind? You're like, why am I thinking about ski boots? Like, what? why am I just random stuff popping in your head, right? How do we control that? And stuff like, okay, tomorrow I have to go do this. I got to do this today. In a few minutes I have to do this. I got to do that. All of our, lists are in our head, schedules, everything is going. How do we pull that in, right? Meditation is part of it, but what about when we're just every day doing our thing? You know what I mean? How do we rein that in a little bit? If we're just, trying to stop that chaotic mind, and also deal with the ego. Like, okay, I've just got my ego bruised. I have to control it. I don't want to start an argument because I know it's coming from a place of my ego, but I'm still feeling some kind of way. What do I do? How do I handle these emotions and feelings? Clean up something. Now it may sound kind of like arbitrary, but no, clean up something. Find something that needs to be clean. Be it your room, be it the kitchen, be it your vehicle, be it your yard, whatever it is, find something that needs to be clean. Okay? When you do that, it starts to put all of your focus, attention, and awareness into the thing that you are cleaning. All of your energy into those dishes. Every single dish, plate, cup, whatever, all your attention, the water, the temperature of the water, how hot you want, all of your attention into what you are doing. Okay? When you clean whatever it is you're cleaning, just think about what you're cleaning, and you'll be amazed at how that will work with your mind. It will help you to calm it down. It'll help you to start putting things in the place that they need to go, right? In cleaning with your hands, it directly affects your mind. Directly affects your mind. All right, so if you let it. So cleanliness, contentment. Contentment is being okay with the way things are. Right? It's as simple as that. And like I said before, all of these things work in kind of a progression when you look at the list. Let's go over the list really quickly up to where we are, right? Peace, truth, giving, moderation, letting go, cleanliness, and then contentment. If you look at it the way now we've come to being okay with the way things are. And how can we be okay with the way things are? Number one, looking at the list that we have gone through so far, those tools will help us. What we talked about before, let's look at that. And now, so you hear a lot of people say, don't live in the past and don't worry about the future. Live in the present. That's a common thing that people say. I agree with that to a certain extent. Okay, it has also benefits of thinking about the past and the future. And we can use that to help with our contentment, to help us to be content. Okay? The past. Find good memories, good times, right? Think about those good memories. Think about those good times. Feel the joy. Try not to focus on the bad times. Think about the good times. It's a rewiring of your brain, right? Think about the good times. Think about the good stuff. Your future. Think about the good things that are going to happen in your future. The good things that you are planning for your future. Think about those good things. Don't think about the bad things the what ifs. Think about the I ams. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and this is going to be fun. whatever it is, maybe a vacation you're going to take, or like I'm going to get this new job, whatever. Think about the good things that are coming in the future and use those things, bring those things together to help your present state of mind be at ease so you can live in the present. Right? Use those two. Use the good thoughts, use the great memories and your great imagination. Memories and imagination, and put those things together and live here in the present with them. Right? That's going to help you be content. That's one of the things that is going to help you to be content. So, looking at the next one, which is discipline. Now, if you have listened to any of my stuff, you know that I am a huge proponent of discipline. Discipline equals freedom. Discipline equals freedom. Okay? Set up your own discipline. If you don't create a discipline to achieve your dreams, someone will create a discipline for you to achieve theirs. Think about that, okay? So put in place the things that you know are going to get you to where you want to be. It's just as simple as that, right? And discipline is the key. Every single day, doing the same thing. Every single day, do the same thing. Just make sure that what you're doing is building you towards something. Make sure you're building a house. Start with your foundation, whatever that foundation work is, right? Just say, for instance, maybe you're working on a trade, right? You're thinking about becoming an electrician, okay? Well, you start at the base level. You go work with an electrician in an apprenticeship, and you learn the basics, and you work your way up, right? Just say, for instance, you're going to work at a restaurant. When you go to work, when the first time you ever, if you, speaking from my own personal experience, if you go to a restaurant and you want a job in a restaurant, the first job you need to get, depending upon where you are in your life, is a dishwasher. Get hired as a dishwasher, right? And then work your way from washing dishes all the way up. This is my advice to any young people out there who are thinking about getting into the restaurant industry. Start as a dishwasher and work your way up. And let me tell you why. And I'm going off on a little tangent here because it's a passion of mine. I've been in the restaurant industry for, I don't know how many years. I've been working, since I had a job, I've been away from the restaurant industry maybe a couple of years, but for the most part, I've been in the industry for a long time. And so you will be a great leader, and you will, if that's your aspiration, own restaurants and be hugely successful if you listen to this one thing. Start as a dishwasher and work your way up. And learn every single aspect on the way. And that is the key for you to be successful. Don't start trying to cook and try to get a job as a cook. Try to get a job as a sous chef, out of culinary. Don't start as a dishwasher. If you're a young person just getting into it, start as a dishwasher. Of course, if you've had experience, you do what you do. But if you've never been in the industry before, young person, thinking about start as a dishwasher. Trust me, you'll thank me later, right? So, discipline, you want to make sure that what you're doing is going to get you to where you want to be. Making sure that you're not just spinning in a circle, right? You're just doing things that are not benefiting you, that are not helping you, right? Bad disciplines. There can be bad disciplines, I think, could be considered bad habits, right? Because you discipline your mind to get up every morning and smoke a cigarette. You've trained your mind and your body to get up every morning and immediately grab for a cigarette. That's if that's what you do or whatever. I used to smoke cigarettes many years ago, and that's what I would do. I would get up in the morning, and then here we go, fire a cigarette. So, what is your discipline? Right? Could be a bad discipline, could be a good one. So, make it good. Right? Discipline. Okay, the next one is self-study. Now,